Hello everybody, welcome to the Comic Gamer Movie Show. My name is Deshaun and today I'm here to review Across the Spider-Verse. Now first of all, just before I even get into the movie, I just got to tell you just how much I love the original Into the Spider-Verse. Just to tell you how high I kind of have that movie in my tempo, my poll of just superhero in general. I think that movie perhaps, now depends on the day you catch me, maybe the greatest superhero movie of all time, because in my opinion, Across the Spider-Verse, not Across the Spider-Verse, Into the Spider-Verse, it epitomizes what the entire superhero genre is about. It epitomizes what it's supposed to be, why I love it so much. All of these messages of overcoming yourself and the adversity and your fears and becoming a hero, and that anyone can be a hero, anyone can save the day. All of those messages about things coming in different packages and it doesn't really matter. Like all of those messages, the animations, the beautiful animation that's just like a love letter to the comic book of Spider-Man itself, all of these characters. Into the Spider-Verse to me epitomizes what the superhero genre is all about, what it can be, what on a great day it should be. And to me, Into the Spider-Verse is kind of the tent pole, is the top of the line movie for what superhero movies can be. Like not a movie that's, oh, that's a nice movie for a superhero movie, because a lot of movies are like that. Even a lot of the best MCU and DC movies are like that, where it's like, oh, this is a great drama that happens to be a superhero movie. No, fuck that. Into the Spider-Verse is a superhero movie, and it epitomizes what it can be. So my expectations for Across the Spider-Verse were very high. Now, I heard Lord and Miller weren't directly involved in this. They were just producers on it, so it did make me a bit nervous, because Lord and Miller also stepped away from the Lego Movie Part 2, though, personally, in my opinion, the Lego Movie Part 2 wasn't as good as the first one, but it was still a damn good movie. I mean, it didn't even have a good rating, so people thought it was a damn good movie. It just didn't get the same buzz, and it made me a bit nervous. But something that isn't getting talked about a lot is that the fact that the director of Soul, you know, the movie with Jamie Foxx, Soul, my movie of the year, Soul, that movie was amazing. That Pixar movie was amazing. It was heartbreaking. It was heartfelt. And the director gave it so much because he was pulling from personal experiences. That director from Soul, I believe, was either a producer, writer, or director on this movie. So he was involved in the creation of Across the Spider-Verse. So, although Lord and Miller weren't hands-on the guys on this, they got a damn good guy to come in and be a replacement, writer/director. So, how was Across the Spider-Verse? Did it live up to the lofty, mountain-sized expectations of Into the Spider-Verse? And the answer to that question is yes, it did. It did. Now, I can't tell you if this movie is better than Into the Spider-Verse. I'm not sure. I would have to really sit back and think about it. But I can tell you it's just as good. Almost. It's either as good or almost as good. There are two things that are better. The animation is astonishing. First of all, because they're messing with different universes and whatnot, and they played with it a little bit Into the Spider-Verse, with obviously the weird Japanese robot Spider-Man and Spider-Man Noir and Spider-Pig and their animation styles and how different they were because they're from different universes. And then they played with it a bit. But they take that a step further in Across the Spider-Verse, because in Across the Spider-Verse, Miles is actually going through the different worlds that have these different Spider-Man. He's meeting more Spider-Man, as you've seen in the trailer, a variety. I mean, he's meeting Spider-Man from literally the old school Spider-Man in an electric company, where he's literally like 2D and he's moving in 2D. He met a Lego Spider-Man. This motherfucker met a T-Rex Spider-Man. I mean, it's all kinds of Ben Reilly Spider-Man, which is designed just like Ben Reilly from the comics. And all of the comic book designs are designed after the movie characters. Man, hell, they had the spectacular Spider-Man in this shit, with his 2D animation and everything, with the voice actor. Like, this movie was like nuts. As a Marvel fan, this movie was overwhelming for the senses, boy. Holy shit. Like, I know when I was in that crowd of people, not everyone in there is a Marvel fan. A lot of people in there just like that movie, want to have a good time watching the movie. So they weren't like giddy like me. Shit would happen, and I was just like, woo! I was like, oh yeah, I'm a nerd. Oh yeah, that shit got me. Like the fact that got me, I know I'm a nerd. Like there are things, there are cameos, there are appearances, there are references, there's so much in this movie. Holy shit, there's a lot. There's a lot. But overall, the movie itself, the story, the characters, Miles' growth as a character, all of it comes together to make a beautiful package. This movie is, like I said, it's either as good or almost as good as Into the Spider-Verse. And from an animation standpoint, it is the best animated film I have ever seen. From an animation standpoint. Don't get me wrong, Pixar, from realistic, from like damn near, from like crisp, I'm talking like real crunchy, a real crunchy chip crisp. Pixar's top tier. They make shit look so crisp. But this shit right here, this shit shows why animation is my favorite form of storytelling. I've often said this on here, and if you've ever watched me long enough, I've said it a billion times. I love animation because there are no limits on animation. There's a limit to how much you can do live action. It's just a physical limit and a budgetary limit. But there is no limit to what you can do. And you know, there's no limit what you can do in animation. You can push storytelling. You can push whatever you're saying. You can push everything so far in animation. You can show things that you just can't show in live action. And to me, this movie right here is a walking testament to what I've always been saying for so long, why I love animation. It has no limits. You can push it as far as you want to. There's only so much you can do live action. But the things they do in this movie, you simply can't do live action. I've never seen a movie, and I thought this while I was watching it, and it was like 20, 25 minutes into the movie. I was like, I've never seen a movie take advantage of its genre and of its platform slash, of what it is more than this movie. This movie pushed what it could do because it's an animation. It's like they're not like trying to make you believe. They're like, no, this is what we're saying it is, so you're gonna go with us. There are certain movements, certain animation styles, certain things. For instance, in the beginning of the movie, often when someone would do something, like hit someone or say something, a little bubble would pop up in the corner, comic book style, to like that you would see usually in a comic book. It'd like pop up in the corner real quick to tell you what that person meant or to tell you what he just drew. That's some shit you can only do in an animated film. Certain things like that. That's just how it is. Oh man, the voice casts were great. All the returning voice cast members were great. Like I say, great movie. Great movie. The story itself, without trying to get any spoilers, is simple. Miles stumbles upon a nexus of spider beings who apparently led by Spider-Man 2099. Damn it, I always forget Spider-Man 2099's name, but yeah, Spider-Man 2099, voiced by Oscar Isaac, actually. And like, this entire group of spider beings that include a lot of spider beings that we know. Like I said, Spectacular Spider-Man's in there, Ben Reilly Spider-Man's in there. There's a lot of Spider-Mans that we know, that we've seen, that we've heard from. Spider-Cat. I mean, there's all kinds of Spider-Man in there. But they've all got together to try to like to stop anomalies from killing all the Spider-Mans or whatnot. And not to get in any spoilers, but let's just put it this way. Miles wasn't invited. And there's a reason Miles wasn't invited. And once Miles figures it out, once he gets invited to this thing by meeting Gwen again, Gwen, who is going through her own trials and tribulations, Miles, who is also in the beginning of the movie struggling, which, it comes to the territory of Spider-Man, struggling with balancing being a teenager and, wanting to be a kid with also being Spider-Man. And that's just something that comes with Spider-Man. That's just something that comes with it, that comes with the territory of being Spider-Man. But, so he's struggling with that, which could have been the whole movie on its own, his struggles. But then when you have this Spider-Verse thing come up and all these spider beings, and you meet old friends, Spider B. Parker and his little daughter, like there's all kinds of stuff going on in this movie. But the gist is, one way or another, he has conflict with the rest of the spider community. He disagrees with them, and it's leading to a mess of a film, him versus all. And it's a very fascinating, it's a very interesting thing they're going with. It's something I've seen before in movies, particularly movies that deal with parallel universes. This idea, the idea they put out there, what he has to do, what Miles has to do to prevent any bad things from happening. But overall, the only had one problem with this movie, and it's just one, and it's the ending. Now, as some of you might know, some of you don't, but some of you might know, this movie is a part one. Now, I don't call it a part one. Nobody calls their movies part ones because they feel like it'll affect the box office if people knew ahead of time that this movie was just a part one and this wasn't like really the whole story. When that happens, often people don't want to see it. It's why Avengers Endgame and Infinity War were initially called Infinity War Part 1 and Part 2, but they changed it so that no one would think that. But unlike Avengers, Infinity War, and Endgame, where the conclusion of those films did feel like, the conclusion of Infinity War, it didn't feel like a part one. It felt like a conclusion. It felt like this is the end of this movie. Endgame felt like a sequel to Infinity War, not a part one. It felt like a direct sequel. Whereas the way this ended really did make you go, okay, this really, because they just dropped some shit and set up some shit and then they just ended it. It did kind of feel like it just ended. And that was kind of weird, I will admit. Like, the way it ended, the crowd was pissed. I'm gonna tell you right now, the crowd I was in was pissed. They were like, what the fuck? Like because it didn't, because like, all the stuff they set up didn't seem like shit that would take that long. Like all the things they were trying to do, it felt like it could have took like another 20 minutes to do. You know what I mean? It's like, do I gotta wait a whole movie to see this, like, something that could be wrapped up in 30 minutes? You know, you could have wrapped that up, ended it, him stop him and save his dad, whatever is gonna happen, and then moved on. But it was so weird the way it ended. Like, it really felt like a part one, which I'm kind of disappointed in it, and it kind of dropped the score a bit for me, the way it ended. Like, I was going 10 out of 10, but the way it ended, it kind of dropped it down to a 9 for me. Still high, still love the movie, but it just ended so abruptly. And like I said, dude, that crowd I was in was pissed. They were like, what the fuck? Like, because it's just the way it ended. There's a way to do that. There's a way to end that movie, make it a satisfying conclusion while setting up the sequel. They did not do that here. They just ended it. like, that's it. To be continued. Come on, bruh. Like, okay, we'll see. Hopefully it works out for them. I'll be there to see it. Comes out next year, so I'll be there to see it. So, regardless, we'll see. Anyways, please remember to like and subscribe to the Comic Gamer Movie Show. My name is Deshaun. I loved Across the Spider-Verse. Gave it a 9 out of 10. Comment below, what did you think? See you on the next one.